It's a Remembrance Day for victims of violence against women in Israel. It is being marked for the 6th year now, and unfortunately it continues to be also very timely with COVID pandemic just increasing cases of domestic violence. 315% increase in calls to helplines in 2021, with 4 additional suspected domestic murders in the past 10 days alone. A new life-saving feature introduced by Google Tuesday, launching for the first time an information box with details of helplines for victims of domestic violence who can provide professional and life-saving assistance in real time. An Israeli initiative, by the way, of female Google employees that will be expanded to other countries in the future. So to discuss more about this issue, I'm now joined in studio by Roxy Cruz, Senior PR Executive and Entrepreneur. Thank you very much for coming in studio today, Roxy. So I want to start with this new feature. It essentially, it will include, rather, when people search trigger words such as my husband beat me or my husband threatened me, it will automatically direct you to helplines. It's a great idea, a very unique initiative, but a very welcomed one, no?
I think so. I think it will help a lot, especially because I think we women, we are not, let's say, raised to talk about negative stuff, about not being successful in our relationships, that this kind of stuff is happening to us. I know, for example, in my personal experience, I know a friend that she was victim of domestic violence for over 22 years.
Wow.
And she never told even me, and I'm a very good friend of her. And she, and then when I asked her why, she told me because she is embarrassed. She was embarrassed. Because we were raised to keep quiet when things are not fine. So I think if people can just go to Google and have this help without telling anybody, that would be excellent.
So shame still plays a major factor in this respect.
Yes, I think talkative women, assertive women are not as desirable as delicate women. We tend to put, let's say, our manners, our politeness over our personal security.
And speaking to that point exactly, Roxy, a new Tel Aviv University study, which is truly fascinating, indicates that women who suffer domestic violence develop a survival mechanism that triggers this identification with the attackers, some sort of a Stockholm syndrome. And it really resonates with what you've been saying now.
Yes, I think so. I think like a lot of women, they try to find like the silver lining about their situation because it's embarrassing to them. So it's like a survival mechanism, to not talk about this to other people or to try to minimize what's going on.
If he beats me, he loves me.
Exactly. We are raised hearing that, he beats me because he likes me. I remember
cares enough.
Exactly. Like I remember like talking to the ex-husband of somebody that I know. He was also my friend back in the day, now no longer. And he was talking about like disciplining his daughter. And he said that he slaps her. And I am totally against disciplining children with physical violence. So we were talking about that, and I said, but how so you hit your daughter? Like she's not gonna be able to solve conflicts without, resorting to violence. And then he said, oh, but I tell her that I love her. And she was a little girl. So you grow up with this idea that somebody hits you and loves you at the same time, and that's very negative.
Now, you have been involved in initiating many support groups online. How much of activity on those groups have you witnessed in the past 2 years of the pandemic? Did you identify any increase, and do you find that women are more willing to share their stories nowadays when this topic really refuses to leave the headlines?
I think so, because there was a decrease on the mental health quality of people in general, and I think people is being pushed to extreme situations. I remember reading, stories of girls that posted online that their boyfriends told them to leave. like overnight. In their hunger, they don't have any place to go. So they're pushed to this extreme situation. So they have to address what's going on with them at this point. So I think that maybe women are a little bit more willing to talk because we don't have other choice.
Yes, and speaking of this support group, literal support group online, tell us more about the feedback you're receiving from women who did find resort in those forums.
What I do is basically meetings that are not online. They start online, but they go physical. We meet at places, at bars, because my idea is that when women are not alone, they find a network, they find a support group, and they meet friends, and that it makes life easier in general, and especially at this situation that if somebody tells you, pick your bags and leave, you have at least a friend that you can call and can help you out. If somebody is violent against you, you have at least one person that you trust that will talk to you about it. So yes, I found out that it's helpful.